Hello, welcome to this new video on Java. So today we're going to discuss about the Java method overriding, and last time we discussed about the Java overloading. So if you don't remember about Java loading, so you can look at my previous video, or I will quickly explain it. So what happens in Java overloading is you could have different Java you could have the same method name but with a different argument. So you see we have three methods here, all of them have the same name add, but if you see the signature of the method is different. This has two parameters, both are integers. This also has two parameters, but you see the type of the first parameter is different. So this both basically they are two different methods but they have the same name. This has three parameters. So this is Java overloading, and today we are going to discuss about the Java method overriding. So let's do it with the help of an example. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a class here today. So let's see, we want to call it base calculator, simple class. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to again call it me. What I did is I just add a one method here which is called add. It has two integer parameters a and b, and it returns the addition of those two parameters. So I'm just going to put here print statement so that we know which method is getting called, So I'm going to say base calculator and method called, whenever we print it. Okay, so this is our base class. We have add method here. It returns the addition of these two methods. We have go to the calculator class, and what I'm going to do is we are going to just extend this from the base class. So if you have seen my previous video, this I'm just trying to do this inheritance calculator. So this is example of okay, so I think I misspelled this one, extends. So what calculator class is doing is extending from the base calculator. So as you notice, we have this add method here. Exactly, it has the add name, it has two parameter integers a, integer b, both are same, and we have the exactly same method in the base calculator class actually. So let's see how this method overriding works. So what we're going to do is in the main class, what we're going to do is we're going to say, let's create an object of calc1 equal to new. So what I did here is simple. I just create an object of the base calculator class, and I'm going to say calc1 equal to, so let's see, I'm going to, from the calc1, I'm going to call this method add, and we say 5 plus 4. So, and I'm going to create another object. I call this object 2, but you see the difference here. So I'm going to create, and let me just quickly copy this one here so that we don't have to really redo it again. So say calc2, I call it 10, 20. Okay, so now we have to see what's method overriding. So if you see here, what I did is I create a object of calculator, base calculator class. You see, I create a new base calculator. So it creates a class, it creates an object of base calculator and assigns it to variable calc1, and this variable calc1 is of type base calculator. And then I call the add method. It's simple, there's nothing fancy here, it's simple stuff. So it's going to call the add method on the base calculator object. Now if you notice, what I did in the second one is I create a new object of calculator, but I still assign it to a variable of calc2 which is of type base. You see, the both of them have the same base class, the or type, both of these variables have the same type. Calc1 and calc2, they refer to the same variable type. And in case of inheritance we can do this because we can always assign a new object of a subclass to its parent reference. So that's what I did here. And when I call this calculator2.add, 10 comma 20, what it's going to do is, because this, although this base class is the parent class and that parent class also has a calculator method, but we assign a object of calculator which is subclass to this variable, because we assign the subclass to this variable. So this variable, when we call the add method, is going to call the add method on the subclass, and that's really is overriding. What we are trying to do is we are going to override the method, and in this case this is from the subclass. So let's try to run it and see how it comes. See, so we make this comment, this is, so we know this base calculator add method called it, calculator 1 equal to 9. Now in the second case, you see, you call the method from the subclass and it has a result of 30. So it means, so what this really means, so this means at the runtime you will call the method of the object. So in this case, calculator object was assigned to this base, so it called the method of that one, and that's really method overriding is. This is also called dynamic polymorphism. So this is dynamic polymorphism. So this is one of the concept in object-oriented programming. It means you could have different implementations for the same object type at runtime actually. So that's what we did. We have base calculator and calculator 1. This is one implementation. Then here in the second case, we give it a different implementation, although that reference type is still same, but we give it a different implementation. So it means at the runtime you could have different implementations for the same reference types here. In this case, it's base calculator, that's a reference type, but whatever is assigned to it, so depending on what kind of object really got assigned to it, it will take that particular implementation. So that's why it's called dynamic polymorphism. In case of method overloading, because you can call the method and it will call the different methods based upon what kind of arguments you pass to the method. If you pass 2 arguments, it will call the add method with the 2 arguments. If you call the method with the 3 arguments, it will call the method with 3 arguments. So that's also called polymorphism, but that's a compile time polymorphism. But in this case, it's called dynamic polymorphism because this is done at the runtime. So this is dynamic polymorphism. So method overriding is one of the way dynamic polymorphism is achieved in Java. So in a nutshell, it's very important. This is polymorphism concept is simply this. You have base calculator here, you have base calculator here, but here you assign a instance of this base calculator class to this variable, but here you assign a new calculator. And the reason you can assign to them is because calculator is a subclass of base calculator class. That's why you can do that, because they have parent-child relationship. So that's why you're able to do it. So this is one of the example for this, dynamic polymorphism and how you can do method overriding in Java. So if you like the video, please consider to subscribe this channel. Thank you and see you in the next video.